Brainmelt. It's an issue. Let's talk about it. Welcome. It's been a while and I've been busy with Freedom Finances and starting a media company, FF Media. Before we get started, I just want to say go to freedomfinances.org if you're looking for any sort of financial help. It's free, easy plans. Stuff you can download. Also, look at FF Media. You can find us on social media like TikTok, Facebook, YouTube. I'll link the links below. But today I wanted to talk about Brainmelt. And the reason why I'm thinking about Brainmelt is because it's something that's really prevalent to today. So before I get into it, let me define it a little bit. Brainmelt is when someone can't think right and they can't operate, usually because of politics. So if you can't have a good day, if you can't watch a movie, if you struggle with something because of what's going on in politics, right now we're very divisive in the United States. So if you bring up Donald Trump, some people will just be like, roll their eyes. And this isn't just about left or right or anti-Donald Trump, but that's Brainmelt. When you just struggle, when you can't live your life normally because you're struggling with politics so much. So there was this phrase that went around, I don't know if it's still going around, when it came to Donald Trump. It was Trump derangement syndrome. And it's not just about that, because it happens to anyone, regardless of who you are, whether you're politically left or politically right, Democrat, Republican, it doesn't matter. It's not about Trump. But you shouldn't really be focusing on politics in your life every day, because it's going to melt your brain. And I just want to give us an example of what life was like 50, 60, 70 years ago. So let's think about the 1970s. There was something called stagflation. And if you've ever seen videos or read books or watched movies about this, the United States, we were in a Cold War with Russia, the Soviet Union, and things were going on with Iran. Jimmy Carter was president for part of the time. We were at war with Vietnam, but gas was really expensive. There were gas shortages. People would line up at a gas station and wait for hours for gas. And life was a little difficult. Inflation was kind of out of control, but the economy wasn't growing. And today, it feels like things are really, really, really bad. But when it comes to the economic numbers, they're not very good, but they're really not that bad. In the United States, we're used to great numbers, great economic numbers in reporting, and anytime they're not close to perfect, we kind of freak out. A part of this reason comes from politics and how divisive we have been with Donald Trump. Now, we've talked about tariffs before, and right now, we're kind of in that period where we don't know if tariffs are having an awesome effect, a bad effect. We don't really know. Inflation has gone up a little since the beginning of the year, and since the end of 2024, some things have changed. But inflation is not what it was in 2021, 2022, and 23. And I'm not saying that's because of Joe Biden versus Donald Trump. Sometimes it has nothing to do with who's president. And that's what's important. That's what Brainmelt is. If eggs go up, you go into the grocery store, eggs are a little more expensive, and you're like, dang it, Joe Biden, at the end of 2024. Remember, egg prices were really high? And then Trump came into office, and egg prices went up even higher. And then immediately people were like, oh, I thought Donald Trump was going to fix this. And there was no understanding of the issues that were going on. In 2024, people blamed the Democrats if you were a Republican. In 2025, when Donald Trump got elected, we blamed Donald Trump right away. That's just not a good understanding of what's going on. That's a little bit of Brainmelt. But really what Brainmelt is, we have social media today. So let's go back to the 1970s and think about this. Imagine what it would be like if you were waiting in line for gas and you could tweet about it. You could make a TikTok about it. I mean, just imagine what life would be like if we had social media then, if we had our cell phones in front of us. Life would be crazy. So here's what I want to talk about. I want to talk about some examples, and I want to talk about some ways to relieve you. If you struggle with Brainmelt, and this isn't for Republicans, this isn't for Democrats, this is for anyone. So whether you love Donald Trump or hate Donald Trump, and you obsess with it, and you can't live your life normally. I'll go into some examples of what that looks like. This is for you. So it doesn't matter. I don't care who you voted for. I care about that you're happy, that you live your life. So I want to talk about a couple things. First, turn off social media. First of all, depression and social media are very closely coincided in the sense that the more you scroll, especially mindlessly. So there's a couple things. You can scroll and work yourself up, whether it's the news, whether it's political issues, that normally you're not getting happy when you're seeing those things. The other thing is maybe you are getting happy and you're getting a little bit of adrenaline and you're seeing a quick video, 20 seconds, you love it, you like it, you move on. You're also not producing any extra thought. There was this Harvard Business Review study that said people who are on their phone on social media for several hours a day are almost always going to be depressed or have a higher rate of depression than those who don't. So my recommendation, try it for 2 weeks. Turn off all social media. You will be okay. And I know a lot of it's like, well, how do I get a hold of this or that? You'll be fine. Turn off social media for 2 weeks. See what happens. Stop reading the news. Nothing's going to happen. It's not like the news on Fox News or CNN. They're going to be like, your house is on fire, get out now. Or Iran's invading us, get out now. Turn it off. You'll be fine. You won't even notice. You'll be happier. Stop talking about politics with your friends and family. That's number 3. Try this for a couple weeks. Act like you don't know who the president is. I'm not saying be ignorant. I'm not saying don't understand our system. I'm not saying you don't have to know who you voted for, but take a second and just ignore politics. Don't talk about it with your friends. Don't talk about it with your family. If they bring it up, just say, I don't want to talk about it. I'm trying to purge myself of that. Okay, here's another thing I want to think about is Brainmelt impacts life because it changes your belief system. And I know you probably don't think it like, well, I have these thoughts because I have this specific belief system, but that's not true. Let me give you an example. So in the mid-2000s, especially after Al Gore's movie, environmentalism became huge. And we all know it, right? Going green is what we called it. If you lived during that time, everyone wanted to go green. The evidence was that like the climate was getting a little bit warmer, maybe due to CO2 emissions. Essentially, the idea was a couple things. We have produced so many cars and used so much oil and gasoline, we're burning those fumes into the environment, into the atmosphere, that it's hurting us. It's warming up the earth. That was the idea, right? And there's a lot of claims and evidence to say, yes, that's true. But it's not about that. It's not about whether global warming is real or not. Here's what it's about. We found this way where we're like, let's incentivize electric cars. I want to think about electric cars, right? Because gasoline, oil burning cars produce CO2 emissions, and you can see the smog in the cities, and it's not good for you, obviously. You can argue whether or not it's that bad of a thing, but that was the idea. It's not good for you, so we need to fix this. So the government and many other governments have kind of incentivized electric cars. So keep following me here. Tesla comes along. So already you might be a little teeny tiny bit triggered. So Tesla comes along, they make electric cars, but they're electric cars, they don't give emissions. Now, you can argue, well, yes, but mining them, blah, blah, blah. That's not about that. The point is this. We got to a point in society where we're like, I think we want electric cars. They're more efficient. They don't create CO2 emissions like gas-powered cars do, okay? Well, guess what? Elon Musk first bought Twitter, turned it into X. Now, Elon Musk at this time was a somewhat liberal person, and he even said he voted for Democrats, and he believed in free speech. The second he bought Twitter, because of free speech concerns, he was turned into a villain. I remember seeing on CNN someone saying, like, this is a James Bond villain type thing. And I'm not pro Elon Musk. I'm not anti Elon Musk. I don't care about Elon Musk. My point is, in what James Bond movie did you see a villain who promoted free speech? You know, like normally the James Bond villains are oppressive. But anyways, okay, let's ignore that. So let's go back to environmentalism and Tesla. After President Trump, or the campaigning Trump at this time, got shot in his ear in Pennsylvania, Elon tweeted out, like, I support Donald Trump. That was it. At that point, Elon Musk got promoted to Doge. He worked for Donald Trump in January. They called him a fascist for doing it. And I've already talked about Doge before. I'm not sure it's super effective, but it wasn't fascist. All they were doing was accounting work through the computer. Was it that effective? Probably not in the end. It really wasn't that effective, but it wasn't fascist. And people were saying, this is bad, this is evil. So guess what they started doing? They started keying Teslas. They started burning Teslas. And I mean this literally, throwing gas bombs into a Tesla car factory. Tell me, how is that environmentally friendly? That is brain melt. That you don't care about the environment anymore. Or this issue is so important. You hate Donald Trump and you hate that Elon Musk is trying to fix the economy, whatever, like get rid of the deficit, that you're willing to hurt the environment, put nasty fumes into the environment, but hurt Tesla sales, right? So it's like, now we're pro gasoline again. So where is it? Do you actually care about the environment, or do you care about hating Elon Musk and Donald Trump? That is brain melt. If you struggle with that, you have brain melt. Let's go back to those things. Turn off social media. Turn off the news. Stop talking about politics, and you'll get better. All right. Let me give you another example. So I won't say who, but I knew this person who, they have an iPhone and a MacBook. Let's just call him a he. He has an iPhone and a MacBook, and Tim Cook visited the White House, right? And said, I'm going to support the US and put $500 billion into the economy or whatever, right? And because that happened, this person, he deleted all the Apple apps, like Apple Maps, Apple Mail, off of his phone because he was mad that Tim Cook was friendly with Donald Trump and supported Donald Trump. Imagine that. You buy an iPhone for $1,000. You buy a MacBook for $1,500, whatever. Let's say you spend $2,000. You're so mad at the company that you offload the free apps that are there to help you. That's brain melt. You're not doing anything. You're not helping anyone. Now, brain melt is something that hurts you. It hurts your family. And it divides your friends and family. Think Jimmy Kimmel's wife, who was in the news and said, I lost friends and family because of politics. Now, I don't know if that's Jimmy Kimmel and Jimmy Kimmel's wife's fault. Maybe it's their friends were avid Trump supporters and they don't like that Jimmy Kimmel would go on TV and make jokes that are anti-Trump, so maybe they left. They have brain melt. Maybe it's Jimmy Kimmel and his wife. They didn't want to talk to their friends and family. If it's that case, they have brain melt. Don't lose your friends and family over politics. It's not that big of a deal. Here's when it's a big deal. It's kind of a catch-22 because politics are never quite as bad of a deal in the United States because we have free speech, because we're resilient. You know where politics really, really, really matters? And I'm not saying it doesn't matter in the US, but you know where it doesn't matter? Or where it does matter? North Korea. Guess what you can't do in North Korea? You can't do this. You know, you can't talk bad about Donald Trump. You can't tweet about Donald Trump or Kim Jong-un or whatever, right? That's illegal. So you don't have brain melt. You probably are just miserable because you don't have free speech. You're starving. You're poor. But you don't have brain melt because you can't do the things that we're doing. You can't scroll social media day in and day out. Now, think about the celebrities that have left the United States because of Donald Trump. I read something today about Ellen DeGeneres or Rosie, what's her name? I don't know. But like, they left, then went to the UK because of Donald Trump. Really? First of all, Donald Trump is a pro-gay president, so he's not like rounding up gays and killing them. And if he was, then yeah, you need to leave, right? If this was the case where Donald Trump was a murderer, was a genocidal maniac, then yes, we need to get out. But it's not just those on the left or the celebrities on the left. Like, think back, if you were around for voting for John McCain versus Barack Obama, that was a pretty divisive one too. It was a heavy win for Barack Obama, but I remember Republicans and conservatives saying, if Barack Obama becomes the president, this could be the end of times. He might be the Antichrist. And here's the thing about Barack Obama. He was super charismatic and super liberal. So, you know, if you're like, the world's gonna end because of this president, and it's not actually a concern, I'm sorry, you have Brainmelt. Get over it. It does suck when a bad president comes in and messes up the economy, takes away our rights, put in bad policies, yeah. But in the United States, we're resilient. Until we get to that point, and maybe this is an issue on my end, that I'm not worried that we're getting to that point. But the way the U.S. System works, the political system, is the pendulum swings so hard. Think Barack Obama swinging all the way to the left, swinging hard to the right with Donald Trump, swinging all the way back and then back again, right? That's the American people for you. We're resilient. So we're like, yes, sometimes we vote for bad things, we vote for dumb things, but don't allow your brain to melt. So here's a couple things. I want you to live life without politics for a little bit. And if you know me, I love movies, I love to read books. I hate when politics are in those things. And the reason why, it's not just if it's the politics I do or don't like. It's not just the politics I don't like, I should say. It's if I do like politics, that political point of view, I don't want to read about it. I want to watch a movie where there's action, or there's comedy, or there's romance, or whatever, or there's horror, or I want to read a thriller or a mystery. I don't want to read about the author's opinion on society, right? I don't want to hear the author's opinion on COVID-19 and how the government, blah, blah, blah. I want to read a book to escape from that. I hate that. I don't have Brainmelt, and go read a book. And if it's super political, put it down, read something else. Go spend some time with your family, right? Go out and see a movie. Have a date. Don't talk about politics once, right? Go to the dinner afterwards and then talk about that movie. Don't mention Donald Trump, right? Don't mention Chuck Schumer or Nancy Pelosi or Joe Biden or Kamala Harris. Live your life without that. All right, that's all I got today. If you see a sign on the road that says Black Lives Matter or Donald Trump, ignore it. Allow your mind to not live in brain melt mode, because you'll be better without it. You'll be happier. I promise you. Adios.